Okay, so we have another problem here, exchange seats, which is a medium level question. So the table name is seat, which has two columns, ID and student. ID is of type integer and student is of type varchar. ID is the primary key unique value column for this table, and each row of this table indicates the name and the ID of a student. The ID sequence always starts from 1 and increments continuously. So we need to write a solution to swap the seat ID of every two consecutive students. If the number of students is odd, the ID of the last student is not swapped. So return the result table order by ID in ascending order. Okay, so we have this problem in which we need to make sure that if we have odd number IDs, then we need to make sure that the student whose ID is odd, that is Abbott for ID1, will be swapped with the even ID, that is Abbott will come after Doris. So Doris will come at first and then Abbott. So we can say the same for 3 and 4 also. In 3 we have Emerson, but we need to get Green at 3 and Emerson at 4. And for the 5th it will remain the same because we have odd numbered rows. For odd numbered rows we need to make sure that the last value remains the same, and for all the other values we need to swap the values with odd and even number IDs. Okay, so uh, we can do one thing here by select case when. What we can do here, we can see that we have three conditions. The first condition was to make sure that if the student is odd, the ID of the last student will not be swapped. So let's make sure that we take care of the last condition, that is when ID is equals to, we will select the max ID, that is the max ID is nothing but the last ID. So we will let's get the max ID by select max ID from seat. Okay, when ID, that is when the ID is the last ID, then we'll do nothing. We will simply make sure that it's remain the same. When case when ID is the maximum ID, then ID. When then another case when ID is first, that is ID is odd, then we will increment the ID by 1, and if the ID is even, then we will decrease the ID by 1. Okay, so what we can do here, when ID mod 2 is equals to 1, that is odd ID, then ID plus 1. When ID mod 2 equals to 0, then ID minus 1. Okay, so we have take care of all the IDs. Now we will simply end our case statement, and we will simply name this case statement as ID. Okay, so we can write ID here. Now we want the student column. Okay, so we will simply select the student from seat. Do we need to order the data by ID? Let us see if we are getting what we are getting right now. Okay, as you can see here, we are getting this. Okay, so we need to simply order our data, order by ID. Okay, as you can see, the data is swapped. For 2 we have Abbott. Okay, as you can see here, and for 1 we have Doris. So our data is properly aligned. We just need to order the data by ID. So let's run this again. Okay, so the answer is correct. Let's submit it. Okay, so we are getting a wrong answer for this case, where the output is this. Mm, why are we getting a wrong answer here? For 6 James, for 6 Julia. Why are we getting for ID mod 5? Uh, this is this. When ID mod 2 is equals to 1, that is fifth. Then ID plus 1, okay. When ID mod 2 is equals to 0, okay, we need to make sure that we take care of one more case, that is when ID mod 2 is equals to 1, then ID. Okay, let's submit it. The answer is correct.